how are you? Today we'll talk about English language learning. What do you know about the subject? Well, for the title of the video, you'll see that we'll discuss some methods, some ideas, and some beliefs about it. Okay? Can we learn a language the same way that we learn any other subjects? Can we learn language like we learn math or chemistry or history, biology? Can we do that? Why or why not? Let's think of your ideas of a classroom, okay? What's the ideal setting for a language teaching classroom? Think of it. Is it the same way that we do the other subjects? How do we learn best? Think about it. Think about your experience as a student. How did you learn best? What are the things that make you really memorize things and recall when you need it and then make something new? Well, for everybody, it's something different. For this classroom that we see right now, everybody is bored. And from what I'm guessing, the teacher is talking. In a traditional setting, the teacher talks, students fall asleep. They don't even pay attention, right? So for most subjects, students are used to being in a position that they're just laid back, they're listening, and they're taking in knowledge. The ones that really want to study, they take notes, they ask questions, but it's very hard after, a whole period in school that you don't have that, creativity or that eager for learning killed little by little. So if we take a look at the second classroom, we see two students working together. We see on the background a group of 3 students working, probably 2 students and another teacher, I'm not sure. But we see 2 students that are interested in what they're doing. They're using technology. They're working together, and the teacher is there to help them, to assist in what they need. Yeah, teacher is not the center, and teacher is not, the only source of knowledge. Okay, so when we think of a student-centered learning, we think that many things change from a traditional classroom, right? If we think that in the past, the teacher used to be the only source of knowledge, and now the teacher can be a helper. Teacher offers different ways that you can find knowledge because we all learn in different ways. There's no point in asking 2 students that are very different to learn things in the same way. If they have probably different learning styles and they work together, they'll teach each other. They'll help each other. If they work in a group, they'll have more abilities. They'll learn more than they would by themselves. And they would even learn more if they were just listening to the teacher. Yeah. So just to compare a few things about a student-centered classroom and a teacher-centered classroom, we have to focus on not only the knowledge, like we were talking about before, that teacher is not, only focused on the only focus of information, but we also have to see the role of the student. It's very common that people struggle with learning a language because if they're not in the center of the classroom, they'll not learn that subject, right? So think of maybe learning an instrument or learning how to ride a bike or roller skate or something like that. If I tell you how to ride a bike and you don't climb in the bike, climb on the bike and try to do it, you're not going to be able to ride the bike. That's kind of obvious, I think. But if you have a guitar and I explain to you how to play it, but you don't touch the guitar and you don't try and practice and make mistakes and learn from your mistakes, you're never going to be able to play the guitar. Of course, some people know they get the guitar, they can learn by themselves and things like that. That's really, it happens, But some people, they take more time, and there are techniques that you can learn how to do that. For me, a teacher is the one that knows all of those things. Yeah, when you have, for example, assessment, how do you evaluate your students? You don't evaluate them to grade them and to tell them if they failed or if they passed. So in a student-centered classroom, you assess your students all the time. They don't feel that they are being graded. They feel that they are checking if they learned something, if they are good in something. The assessment actually helps with their self-esteem in the learning process, and it guides them to take responsibility for their own learning. They're not passive anymore, they're active. So that's very important. For me, it's very important to see how in language teaching, students being student-centered in a classroom is extremely important. Yeah. What about methodologies? We are bombarded in this course with language teaching methodology. There's so many. I'm just going to comment on a few, but we're not going to talk about all of them, okay? Some methods are very popular, yeah? These three methods we have seen everywhere. Maybe you haven't recognized them, but in many English schools, some English schools focus only in translation. Some English schools focus only on listening and drilling and repeating and listening and drilling and repeating. Yeah, like the audio linguist method. Some schools only focus on speaking the language. They avoid speaking the first language. They only talk in the target language, and they don't focus a lot in grammar. They don't want to hear about the rules and only good pronunciation. Yeah. There are many other methods like structure approach. You have, a certain hierarchy in the grammar topics, and you have to follow that. We have that in many syllabuses, in the many syllabi, many syllabi across different schools. But Suggestopedia focus on the report. The relationship between the student and teacher has to be good. Okay, so the mental blocks and the problems that people have with learning a language are in the past. Yeah. Total physical response is the one that we use for kids. Yeah, you give them commands, they obey, they're internalizing language, and they're kind of learning in the same way that they acquired their first language. So very popular as well. Silent way, I haven't seen anybody doing that. Like, teacher talks, and the student only talks when he's ready to do so. The same thing with community language learning with rapport. Yeah, people think they have to have a safe environment to learn the language, and many other things. Yeah, immersion, very popular one. There are lots of beliefs. People think that you only learn a language when you go abroad and you talk to foreigners and you talk to native speakers of that language. We know that's not true because, I haven't learned English through immersion, and I can speak English, right? So we know that's not true. And task-based language learning, which is very popular with communicative language teaching others. They're the two ones that people discuss mostly nowadays. Communicative language teaching focus on communication. Yeah, and everybody thinks, oh, that's great. So we're not going to talk about grammar. No, you are going to see every part of language, the structure, and you're going to work with the receptive skills, listening and reading. You're going to work with productive skills, but you're going to focus on communication in the end. And communication is producing language through oral skills or writing skills, but you have to be able to do that through communication. So you communicate the whole way. And the task-based learning is very similar to that, but you focus on tasks. You give students things that they have to do in the real world. Is very similar to a genre approach, and people use it a lot, and it's very, very successful. The thing is, what is our role as English teachers? Yeah, do we need to know all these methods? Truth is, we live in a post-method era. Okay, there's no better method than the other. Some people learn better with translations. Some people can't hear about grammar rules. Some people, most schools now use communicative language teaching, and textbooks are designed around that. So there's a lot of money on it. But truth is, what really matters is how the student is in the classroom. If he is the center of the classroom, he will be provoked, you know, he will be tested to learn. Yeah, so I think students in general, they should be placed in that position in which they can speak. They have to do something. If we are the ones who are the source of knowledge, students are not going to be learning effectively. They're not going to have a productive use of their time, and everybody will be frustrated in the end. Okay, so that's my opinion. I'm not sure how you think about all those things I've said. There's so much more to share, but time is up. Probably a long time ago. I can't see the timer, but I do hope you learned something, and I do hope you share with me your impressions from this video. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.